What's going on, y'all? We back with AAUP TV. My name is Chinjirai Kumanika, and I'm a council member on the National AAUP, and I'm here with our president, Todd Wolfson, who's also a vice president with AFT. What's up, Todd?
How's it doing? Shaking
we're
off
also-
no kings. That's all.
That's right. And we're also here with Veena Dubal, our general counsel, our amazing general counsel. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Veena? How you doing?
Great. So happy to be here.
That's right. Yeah, we have tremendous momentum of coming off of the No Kings protest, so we're really excited about that. You know, the last time we checked in with AAUP TV, it was like Trump had just handed down these loyalty oaths to, I think, 9 universities. And so we were just at that point trying to understand what was happening and, you know, how it was all going to go down. But at this point, we seem to have tremendous momentum from universities who are pushing back. So Todd, could you just catch us up a little bit, you know, on what these loyalty oaths are and who's pushing back?
Yeah. So in the beginning of October, Trump released this 10-point plank called the Higher Ed Compact, which was and is in effect a loyalty oath to the Trump administration. That 10-point plank was sent to 9 schools. And basically, it demanded that the schools agree to certain terms, like you're gonna commit to only teaching about 2 genders. You're gonna make sure your institutional neutrality. You're gonna create a quote marketplace of ideas, which was really a way to control universities by pushing conservative ideas and dumbing and like quashing other ideas. It's a 10-point plank, control over over admission. And they gave it to 9 schools. And basically they said, if you sign this compact, we're going to give you, quote, preferential treatment and funding. So these folks who are obsessed with meritocracy are now saying, if you bend to our concept of gender, it doesn't matter if your cancer research is good or not good, we're going to give you more funding for it. So that's what happened. That's what the compact is. It's out there in the world. And the 9 schools that got it were Brown, Dartmouth, MIT, Penn, UVA, University of Arizona, Vanderbilt, University of Texas, Austin, and missing one somewhere in there. 7 of those schools, say that?
Arizona.
7 of those schools rejected the compact over the last couple of weeks. MIT first. And so we have to give some credit and kudos to MIT for standing up in a moment and saying no. The president stood up, rejected that oath on meritocratic grounds, and then 6 other schools followed suit. Dartmouth and Brown rejected the oath. Penn rejected the oath. University of Virginia rejected the oath. University of Arizona rejected the oath. The only ones, and USC rejected the oath. And the only ones that haven't rejected the oath to date are Vanderbilt and University of Texas, Austin. And I'll kick it to Veena.
Yeah, I just really want to underscore really how odious this attempt is to remake American higher education in the image of the far right and the president's ideological image. For those of people who have been following what's been happening over the last 8 months, one of the first things the Trump administration did was send demand letters to UCLA, Harvard, Columbia, Brown, and UPenn, unlawfully using civil rights law to reshape the image of the university, to reshape what kind of speech was permitted at the university, what kind of who they admitted, how they hired, just real government intrusion into university life and thinking and expression. And a few of the universities signed on to these early demands. And what this letter does is effectively take the most egregious, far-reaching, vague, unconstitutional aspects of those demand letters and makes them available to everyone to sign on to, all 6,000 universities and colleges in the US. It's really a remarkable, I mean, if you had asked me 8 months ago, what kind of nightmare scenario could you imagine for higher education? I could not have put this down on paper. It is outrageous. I cannot believe that anyone who passed the bar exam and took a constitutional law class and cares about freedom of expression would put these words down on paper. It is extraordinary. It is an extraordinarily odious document.
I can't wait to, I want to go into that in a little bit more detail. But first, I want to talk about the sort of encouraging news. Like, these universities are now pushing back. So why are they pushing back? What does the pushback look like? Can you really help us understand what this particular stage of resistance looks like, Todd?
Yeah, I can. So as I said, 7 of the universities so far have rejected this oath outright. And they've rejected it at one level because it is so absurd. The Trump administration went so far beyond what is a realistic agreement between themselves and the universities that they had to reject it. And thank God the 7 universities did. And I want to mark that these oaths have been written by Mark Rowan, a hedge fund billionaire who sits on the board of University of Pennsylvania, and said at one point that he is such an odious board member, he can't believe they haven't kicked him off the board of University of Pennsylvania yet. But nonetheless, this guy thinks he should be writing the compact for the future of higher ed. And so the 7 universities that rejected it because faculty, students, and staff united and fought back. They created petitions on their campuses. They delivered those petitions to their administrations. They had actions and they had teach-ins. I think University of Virginia just last Friday had 1,000 people out at an anti-compact action, and the UVA administration just signed off to reject that compact. And so I really want to say and underline that our administrations or our boards of governors or whomever are rejecting these compacts because students, faculty, and staff are uniting and demanding they reject it. So it's really heartening to see the organizing taking place on our campuses to say no.
Yeah, that is heartening. I mean, I think people want to see these leaders take some initiative and push back, and we know that it's the organizing that is delivered that. But I want to dig into these compacts just a little bit more so people understand how egregious they are. Veena, could you help us really break down what you think some of the worst parts of these loyalty oaths are?
Yeah, and before I do that, I really just want to point out that up until now, universities have largely just been bending over and doing what the Trump administration wants them to do, even when those terms are unconstitutional, even if it requires the violation of the constitutional rights of their faculty and students. And so I can't underscore enough how critical the massive uproar from students and faculty and alumni and staff, how important that really has been to this moment. It sadly wasn't an obvious outcome that these 7 schools were going to stand up and say no. That said, when I tell you what's in the compact, maybe you're going to be like, hell yeah, they need to just say no. So I'm not going to go into all aspects of it. It's pretty alarming. I'm just going to talk about a few of the things. The first thing is that it asks that universities foster a vibrant marketplace of ideas, and that means, quote, transforming or abolishing units that purposefully punish, belittle, or even spark violence against conservative ideas. First of all, unclear what conservative ideas means here. These are, vague terms. What does it mean to belittle? What does it mean to punish? The vagueness here is sort of the point. But beyond that, the Supreme Court has held that government officials cannot direct the content of university discourse towards or away from particular subjects or points of view. And this principle reflects the court's recognition that this question of whether the marketplace of ideas is balanced or unbalanced or open or distorted or whatever is a matter of the political judgment of members of the university community and not of the federal government. Additionally, the compact in 2 different sections, 1 and 3, says explicitly that the universities and colleges that sign on to this aren't going to consider sex, ethnicity, race, nationality, political views, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious associations, or proxies for these things in both the admission of students as well as the hiring of faculty, staff, administrative support, etc. This is also unlawful. It means that universities, under the Constitution, universities cannot be forced to admit certain people if they fear that the government is going to come down on them if they don't admit those people. They can also not be prevented from admitting students or hiring faculty when doing so furthers their institutional values. The universities, again, get to decide what political views that they want on campus, and they have the right to decide whether they want to consider sexual orientation or gender identity, or how race ultimately impacted someone's life experience and therefore makes them a certain kind of candidate on campus. I mean, this is not the state of Supreme Court law. And so
so basically, what you're saying is, like, if universities agreed to this, they would essentially be agreeing to something that is unconstitutional.
Yes, and not only that, but the person that gets to decide whether or not they're violating the compact is the government, not the universities themselves, which means that you're going to have a real chilling of expression, universities going far above and beyond what they need to do. And still, if the government decides that they're in violation because this is so vague, then they don't get the preferential treatment that they've committed themselves to. And for public universities, and this is noteworthy because the University of Texas has indicated some interest in signing this, public universities that sign on to this will be violating the constitutional rights of their students and faculty directly.
Wow. Well, we have this momentum. We have this avalanche of universities rejecting this compact, saying no, of organizing around it. What is next? What's coming up? Can we talk about how people can get involved with this fight going forward? I know we have a National Day of Action coming up. Todd, could you talk about that?
Yeah, and first, it's important to note, after MIT rejected it, Trump made this loyalty oath global, so any university and college could sign on to it. And so that's what makes the next stage in this fight critical, is that 7 of the 9 universities have rejected it. And our goal has to be to make any university that signs on to this compact a pariah in the academic community. A pariah in the academic community. And that means we got a lot of organizing to do to build power. And so we have a November 7th National Day of Action. It's in coordination with students, and Students Rise Up. And, we are really going to build those actions around all sorts of things going on our campuses. But one thing is going to be these odious compacts. So we're calling on folks to organize actions on Friday, November 7th. If you need to get in touch with students on your campus, reach out to AAUP at AAUP.org, AAUP@AAUP.org, and we'll help you figure this out. We'll support you in organizing actions on your campus. And the goal here is to really fight back. So let me just outline a couple things that you can do on your campus. One is you can start a petition that can be signed by students, can be signed by faculty, can be signed by staff, can be signed by alumni, can be signed by a community, that you can present to your president, your board of governors, to demand that they reject the compact. We have template language for you if you need it. Another thing you can do is organize one of these actions on November 7th. We could also help you do a teach-in on your campus about what's going on. We can connect you to students or alumni on your campus. And one other thing we're working on is Governor Newsom showed leadership in this moment. So we should thank him and respect that. He called and said, if any California universities sign on to this compact, they will lose state funding. And then in Pennsylvania, state legislators Krajewski and Malcolm Kenyatta are developing a bill that does the same exact thing. And so we're looking to make this happen in every state, at least every blue state, where people will say, if you sign on to this, you're going to lose state funding, so that we can push back. And so, again, the power first and foremost comes with student, faculty, and staff uniting and building power, developing an action on your campus, developing a petition or a teach-in, and we can help you with that. But now's the moment. Let's push back and let's reject these oaths.
Thank you, Todd. I really appreciate it. And Veena, I really appreciate all this and really all your work on behalf of defending the higher ed sector and also breaking down. There's a great, we have a great statement that really breaks down these compacts in detail, and you can really get into the weeds. And we'll put the links in this video so you can check it out. Any last words you want to say, Veena, in terms of like this fight going forward?
Yeah, I really want to underscore that this, for me, this is not an ideological issue in terms of whether you're on the right or on the left. This is so outrageous. If you care about freedom, however you might define that word, in the broadest sense, I think we have to stand against this compact together. If we care about higher education, if we care about debate, expression, research, if we care about these things, we have to reject it. And for people who, maybe haven't been involved in social movements in the past, don't know how to build power on campus, I cannot underscore enough that universities accepting this or rejecting it is very much about what the community at their campus says. And so building power on campus with your fellow faculty, your fellow workers is so critical. We have all of these resources. I wrote a letter that really, along with Genevieve Lakier at the University of Chicago, that really lays out why this is completely unconstitutional. This Supreme Court would not find this constitutional. This, again, is not an ideological issue here. This is just black and white wrong. And so we want to make that happen for you. We want to give you all the tools you need to build that power. Please give us the opportunity to do so.
Students, faculty, staff, unite.
That's it. That's it. And I want to just, once again, I want to shout out and give respect to all the people in our chapters watching, all the people, even, in AFT, K through 12, labor, all the people who are out there fighting and doing this every day. This is what we need, and we really appreciate you. We see you, and we're going to come together, and we're going to continue to fight. So thank you all for watching, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.